Broadcasting live from Dar es Salaam, this is TBC News, our top stories. US, AU and UN eye world without AIDS by 2030. Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute registers another milestone. Good evening, I am Teddy Mparanyanga. You can also follow us live via YouTube channel TBC Online and also get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook and Twitter pages at TBC Online. The United States, the African Union and the United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS, UNAIDS, have reached a tripartite decision to prepare for high-level summit that may include heads of state to digest measures that will ultimately end HIV/AIDS as a public threat by 2030. The tripartite agreement follows the newly released data by the UNAIDS, which depicts worrisome new HIV/AIDS infection affecting mainly young people, children, same-sex partners, and prisoners. Rehema Sababili from Washington, D.C. has more details.
Speaking about the success of PEPFAR in Washington, D.C., U.S. Global AIDS Coordinator and Special Representative for Global Health Diplomacy, Dr. Johnny Nkengasong, noted that in the past 20 years since the Emergency Fund to Fight AIDS was established, PEPFAR has been able to support the facilitation of HIV testing by 65% and help reduce the death caused by AIDS for more than 25 million people in Africa.
I always see PEPFAR as a gift from the American people to the world, especially Africa. And what has PEPFAR done in 20 years? Saved over 25 million lives, prevented 5.5 million children from being born of HIV infections. It has provided life-saving therapy to over 20 million people, has provided about 65 million testing or HIV tests so that people can know their status.
However, the ambassador has made it clear that the United States will continue to be the leading partner in Africa in helping the battle against AIDS while pushing the HIV/AIDS.
Now the challenge HIV/AIDS to the level where 95% of people that are infected will know their status. 95% of those, very, very important. If we do that, it is the year we've all agreed as part of the United Nations family to bring HIV/AIDS as a public health threat. But there are three things that we need to focus on to sustain the response. One is political sustainability, to make sure that HIV/AIDS is brought back up. The money is not where we have to be. That is the vehicle, one leadership, but the Global Fund and other bilaterals. We urge that countries, including domestic financing.
Since its establishment in 2003, the United States Emergency Fund to Fight AIDS, PEPFAR, new infections treatment. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Rehema Sababili, TBC News.
Thank you, Rehema Sababili. And now let's take a look at Russia, where the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, says Russia intends to offer expertise in agricultural, industrial development, technology, trade, peace and security, health, and education sector to African countries in order to create sustainability within the region. President Putin said this while addressing the ongoing Russia-Africa Economic and Humanitarian Summit, which is being held in St. Petersburg, Russia for 2 days. Faithangaga reports.
Thanks to its rapid growth and significant upturn, that is why the second Russia-Africa Summit comes at a significant time that both parties can benefit to offer technological support to Africa.
Dire need, especially since we expect a record high harvest this year. As for the specific details, I should like to say that in the near months, 3-4 months, we would be ready to provide to Burkina Faso, Zimbabwe, Mali, Somalia, the Central African Republic and Eritrea
Ocean, and Tanzania is ready to cooperate with Russia in fertilizer production and eventually ensuring food security.
This forum is important to Tanzania. We have long-term relations with Russia. The embassies are doing a great job, and we are in diplomatic contact. Through this forum, we have the opportunity to learn from the experiences of other African countries and the way they conduct their activities in various sectors. In Tanzania, we have the opportunity to explain to the Independent Republic of African countries and other invited countries what we are implementing in our areas. A good example is the agricultural sector, where we are pleased with our President's permission to increase the budget in the agricultural sector. And our goals are to make Tanzania a production area for food crops so that we will be able to feed East Africa, SADC countries, and the whole continent.
Tanzania iwe eneo la uzalishaji kwa mazao ya chakula tuweze kulisha bara Afrika.
And the principle of cooperation provides
est un maillon essentiel
of our GDP is rural and agricultural sector. This is the sector where we can develop partnership and new projects. Both public and private sectors in our countries would participate on equal terms in this win-win partnership. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency.
L'investissement dans le numérique revêt un caractère.
On his opening address, the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, says Russia is ready to extend cooperation in the areas of agriculture, trade, health, education, among others. On the other hand, the President of Comoros says Africa is now ready to establish win-win partnerships due to the potential it has and the human resources it has. Faida Ngaga, TBC News.
Thank you, Faida Ngaga. Moving on to the next news, the President of Zanzibar and the Chairman of the Revolutionary Council, Dr. Hussein Mwinyi, says the country still needs further major improvements in the health sector to ensure the citizens receive best health care services locally. Dr. Mwinyi made the statement while laying a foundation stone for the construction of the Benjamin Mkapa Health Plaza building in Dar es Salaam. Here's the report by Eva Sindika, read by Esther Deus.
The Benjamin is setting up a building that will help to improve health care by bringing the services close to the people. The guest of honor is the President of Zanzibar and the Chairman of the Revolutionary Council of Zanzibar, Dr. Hussein Mwinyi, and here he urges the Benjamin Mkapa Institute to continue supporting the country to create excellent healthy services.
Check on the possibilities of using this treasure commercially with the collaboration of Imara Horizon Company. We are currently in a world of invention and innovation. Currently, invention is a business just like other businesses. I urge you to start a Africa.
Earlier, the Deputy Minister of Health, Dr. Godwin Morrell, urged Benjamin Mkapa Institute and Imara Horizon
to ask Benjamin Mkapa Foundation to extend some efforts in nutrition area within the 1,000 days of a child.
Benjamin Mkapa Foundation and Imara Horizon are the ones to manage the building, and here the Chief Executive Officer of Horizon say that the building will facilitate better health services to the people by bringing the services closer to the people.
We encourage entrepreneurs and other stakeholders to take this opportunity in being part of this project. And we are able to fulfill this because both government of the Republic of Tanzania and Zanzibar put a lot of emphasis in the collaboration and the partnership of private sector and the public sector in promoting economy and the provision of social services.
Moving on to the health sector, Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, in collaboration with specialist doctors from India, for the first time have successfully conducted peripheral artery disease surgery for patients in the country who have the problems. Here's the report by Salma Hamim, read by Apasia Ringo.
The Executive Director of Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, JKCI, Dr. Peter Richard Kisenge, says that the peripheral artery disease, PAD,
which leads to blocked blood vessels in the legs, is serious, and here he describes the people who are mostly affected by the problem.
Haya ni matatizo ambayo yapo kwa wingi sana na yanawapata wagonjwa wengi wenye kisukari.
It is a problem that exists in abundance and affects many patients with diabetes, those who smoke a lot, those who drink alcohol, and those with high blood pressure. Many have had their legs amputated due to the delay in arriving at the hospital to receive treatment. The Cardiac Institute saw an increase in this problem and decided to provide a new service that will be sustainable.
In addition, Dr. Kisenge says that JKCR is going to start another new service in collaboration with the experts from the BLK hospital in India to detect blocked blood vessels that cause erectile dysfunction to help patients suffering from the problem.
As you know, the problem of erectile dysfunction has been increasing a lot in this country. Clogged arteries occur in people with diabetes and high blood pressure. We will check that.
Bukhari elaborates the steps that need to be adults, explains the readiness of patients to go for the treatment.
Instead of surgery, we do ballooning and stenting of blocked arteries.
We gained a lot of awareness after we announced that we will have this special camp. More than 200 patients showed up, and we thought it was wise to divide them. We started treating them. By the time we finish, we will have reached the 100 patients. We will proceed with the other patients in collaboration with our
Tanzanians, whereby for 100 patients, had they gone to India, they would have spent 2 billion Tanzanian shillings compared to 1.2 million Tanzanian shillings spent for each patient here.
Now let's take a look at the educational sector, where the Tanzanian government has started the implementation of its intention to further exploit Lake Victoria to provide the surrounding populations with drinking water. The new strategy will benefit 5 districts of Simiyu region and will cost more than 440 billion shillings. The move will increase the level of people with access to clean and safe water from 76 to 95%. Here's a report prepared by Henry Mabumo and read by Afasir.
From Lake Victoria, increasing the level of access to water services from 76% to 95%, the Deputy Permanent says the challenge of water shortage in the
reliable source of water. So the completion of this project will provide 95% of reliable supply of water to a capacity of 6.
He furthermore elaborates.
This project will cover all urban areas including Bariadi, Nyashimo and Ikulima, which previously they struggled using salty water from the wells.
The regional manager of the Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Agency, RUWASA Simiyu Region, Mariam Majala, mentions the villages that are going to benefit from
3 villages, but later on, we will extend from Itilima, where we will build a tank of 10 million liters to Meatu and Maswa district villages. We extend our gratitude to President Dr. Samia Hassan for providing funds in fulfilling this project.
Consultant from GITEC company engineer Frigil Chusa explains the work to be done and the distribution of pipes to transport water from Lake Victoria and how they plan to complete it on time.
Transport water to Rangwe, where there will be a balancing reserve.
This project will enable us to get clean and safe water for our daily usage and also will help us to cook on time for our families.
This project will be a long-lasting solution to women, especially walking a long distance to search for water. We appreciate our government for ending our cry of getting water.
Country through various research centers is to find solutions for zoonotic diseases, which are infectious diseases from animals to humans. Ambassador Misawa made the commitment at the Sokoine University of Agriculture during a Tokyo Foundation research program that aims to promote Japan by providing Japanese books in various universities. Here is the report by Remi Asinti, read by Esther Deus.
The Japanese government is committed to promote the country by using books, where it has distributed a total of 1,100.
61 books deal with various topics and have explained the Japanese politics, economy, society, and culture of various eras. In 5 years, This project
isipokuwa tu manispaa ya Morogoro mjini.
The SUA Vice Principal Professor Raphael Chibunda explains how the college benefits from cooperation with Japan, while the acting director of Sokoine National Agriculture Library, Professor Wilson Tega, explains how important the books are to the university.
They can be ready for the use by different people. They will be able to know how the college and the country can start. And I believe we will understand what our colleagues have been doing to become successful.
Says the government has allocated more than 67 billion shillings to the RD University through the Higher Educational for Economic Transformation HEAT program, aiming to improve education services including infrastructure, teaching curriculums, and introducing online trainings. He was officiating the project for the construction of 4 new buildings in the Dar es Salaam campus to be done by a Chinese construction company, Jiangxi International Economic and Technical Corporation.
Nadhani safari hii serikali
itself has provided funds in the education services. It is a big honor to us since we never expected to get such a privilege in all this duration.
12,000 students, while the contractor entrusts.
We extend our deepest gratitude to the 6th regime government under Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan for validating this fund to our university. They're building 93 staff's offices at once. Construction of these buildings will escalate enrollment of students from 60,000 to 12,620 students.
The construction, which will start in August this
year. Period is 18 to complete all the works. It's more than 40 years. And we have managed and completed more than 500 projects. Here in Dar, our first project is this 2015 and we completed in early 2018.
Before we wind up our local news tonight, let us now have a look on today's exchange rates according to the Bank of Tanzania, BOT. Don't miss TBC News every weekday to know all the latest in exchange rates. Time now for all the latest in international news. And here is international news as compiled by Ramadan Impenda and read by Apasia Ringo.
Niger's army command on Thursday declared its support mobilizing the country. According to a statement signed by the Army Chief of Staff, Abdul Sidku Issa said the decision was necessary to avoid a deadly confrontation between the various forces. In a statement broadcasted later on national television, Colonel Amadou Abdramain, spokesperson of a group calling itself the National Council for the Safeguarding of the Country, said that the defense and security forces have decided to put an end to the regime following the continuous deterioration of the security situation, the bad social and economic management. The soldiers said the country's borders have been closed and a nationwide curfew was in place. All institutions of the country were also suspended, Abdramain added. Members of the Presidential Guard had detained President Mohamed Bazoum inside his palace in the capital, Niamey, early on Wednesday. Russian President Vladimir Putin has told African leaders he would help them tens of thousands. Speaking at a summit in St. Petersburg dedicated to Russian-African ties, Putin has said Russia was expecting a record grain harvest and was ready to replace Ukrainian grain exports to Africa on both a commercial and aid basis to honor a critical role in global food security. He said Russia is ready to provide its grain and fertilizers to Burkina Faso, Zimbabwe, Mali, Somalia, Central African Republic, and Eritrea due to food scarcity facing the particular African countries. And Senegal has repatriated some 50 of its nationals anticipated in recent weeks in Morocco trying to immigrate to were brought back due to health reasons. A total of 4 is the most dangerous of all the routes that African migrants.
Sports news up next. In sports news, the government has signed an agreement worth 31 additions. Speaking during the signing ceremony held in Dar es Salaam, Permanent Secretary Minister of Culture, Arts and Sports, Said Yakub, says that the renovation of the stadium will boost the development of
meeting FIFA and CAF standard. and also meet the standard of International Federation of Athletes, because of the International Athletes Championship are held in this stadium. So this is important for rehabilitation.
ya riadha ya ngazi ile ya IAAF. Changing rooms and will take Secretary General of Volleyball national team players due to the competitive spirit shown by the various players participating in the competition. Godwin says that the competition for the volleyball national team has motivated more players to showcase their skills, ready to contribute to the team in international competitions.
So the volleyball national team.
2 teams from Tanzania mainland and Zanzibar in the African competition next month. At weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Good evening, dear viewer. Welcome to the Weather Forecast. This is Weather Forecast for the next 24 hours from Tanzania Meteorological Authority. Now let's start our weather forecast by looking at a wind pattern. The wind is expected to flow at 30 km per hour for the northern coast and southern coast. Still expected to flow at 30 km per hour. State of the lake is expected to be moderate. Tonight, part cloudy condition will dominate over entire country. Light rain shower over few area and sun period. Now let's finish our weather forecast by looking at weather forecast for the 4 days from the day after tomorrow. Very much and have a good night.
And that marks the end of the news bulletin. Mparanyanga, have a lovely, lovely night.